Bonjour tout le monde, good afternoon, buenas tardes, bom dia a todos os amigos e aos colegas do Brasil, do FOBAI, a Nona, a presidente, a Renê, a diretora executiva, a todos os amigos do Belo Horizonte. É uma pena, é difícil não poder estar com vocês e conviver o tempo que normalmente, um tempo muito agradável que temos no FOBAI. Sou David Julien, o secretário-geral da Organização Universitária Interamericana, e hoje vou falar um pouco dos novos paradigmas da mobilidade internacional. Então, vou compartilhar a minha pantalla para assim. Ok, então. So I'll do a mix of English and Portuguese. As I understand, we do have an international audience. So as I was saying, I was just saying hi to all the friends in Brazil and FAUBAI, to their leaders, and to all of you who cannot make it to Belo Horizonte this year, and you'll miss the samba and the caipirinhas, but more than anything, you will miss the great opportunities to further discuss and reinforce our partnerships with Brazilian institutions and from all the region. So my name is David Julian. I'm the Executive Director for the Inter-American Organization for Higher Education. And today, for this presentation, I will cover basically just three components. First, I'll just say a little bit about what we are and what we do in OE. I'll obviously address the main issue of the COVID-19 crisis and its impact on internationalization of higher education. And I'll provide some thoughts and maybe an opportunity for a new international mobility pattern, no? Addressing the topic number 2 that we were requested to discuss, and hopefully bring some new ideas to your discussions as we move forward during the crisis. So I'll do that in a mix of English and Portuguese. For the FAUBAI audience, you'll find sometimes Portuguese virtual support. I'll speak in English or vice versa. So that way, I hope we can reach out to a larger audience, and hopefully you'll get the answers to what the presentation of today is all about. Just a few words on what is OE or IOHE as it stands in English. Well, we were founded in Quebec, in Canada. We're based in Montreal, head office at Université de Montréal, celebrating 40 years this year already. So it's a pretty consolidated organization. And we're the only organization association that groups higher education institutions from all across the continent. So from Canada down to Patagonia, with Brazil, the Caribbean, and all the countries of the region. So we look at assisting our members to move forward their higher education agenda, their internationalization process, providing different spaces of collaboration on relevant themes. So we do a pretty wide membership, over 350 members across all the continent, and you'll see on the screen the number of members that we have in each region. We do split the continent in 9 regions. Brazil, 40 members. In terms of our governance structure, each of these regions will elect a university president to actually lead the discussions in their region, and that constitutes of our board of directors. So our current president is Dr. Marcelo Nobel, reitor da Universidade Estadual do Campinas, Unicamp, in Campinas, near Sao Paulo, and I seize the opportunity to extend my regards to Marcelo and his leadership all across Brazil. You might know us from different programs. We've been running the IGLU for more than 30 years, training for leaders in deans, vice presidents, and other high-level administrators. COLAM, Colegio de las Américas, runs different projects on internationalization and innovation. Campus on social responsibility. eMOVIES, which is Espaço de Mulheres Líderes das Instituições de Educação Superior, women leaders addressing gender equity issues, and AES Tech, our inter-American space for tech schools. So looking at the tech sector a bit differently. And you also might know us from CAIE, the Conference of the Americas on International Education. Maybe many of you worked together with us just last October in Bogota. We're the lead secretariat for that major event, grouping FAUBAI in Brazil, SIN Argentina, CRUCH Chile, AMPEI Mexico, CBIE Canada, all the national associations that are working in internationalization. And I missed some, of course, Ascun in Colombia was our main partner. So that's where you can meet us and reach. So without more intro, I'd like to move in our theme for today. So what is this current crisis? What's happening and what are the impacts? We see changes that honestly I haven't seen coming, and I think no one has seen coming. It's without any precedent, and it creates a really deep impact. It has a deep impact on our system, especially in internationalization and mobility, if that's today's theme. You've seen experts from Oxford or Boston saying that we might suffer at least a year of direct perturbation of our activities. 40% of the students were surveyed, like 800 students were just recently surveyed to see if they were going to maintain their plans for the fall semester. At least 40% of them are saying that they won't jump in the plane and continue their study abroad experience. And many experts are saying that we might have systematical changes at least for 5 years before going back to the numbers that we had just recently. I've been talking to a lot of international office and president office from higher education institutions in Canada, where we are and where I speak from today. The impact is huge, as you can imagine, and most of you have been working with challenges of student repatriation, those who were away, also what you do with your international students on campus. But basically, there's also a very strong economic impact. Here in Canada, education is largely subsidized by the state, by the different provinces, and having international students do represent an opportunity for institutions to have an additional part with the full coverage of the tuition fees, and we're talking about tens and tens of millions of dollars. Larger institutions in big cities might have up to 100 millions in loss in terms of not covering those institutions, and their whole strategy of the universities in the few recent years have been based on that kind of counterpart, depending if you're at 5-10%, but some are at 20% or more of international students. It does create a significant impact in the way things are planned for the next year. So, and if we look at Latin America, at Brazil and most of the countries, I mean, you've all seen the report from OBIRET, the Observatory on Networks of Internationalization in Latin America. There was already a deficit. If you look at the general statistics of mobility, student mobility across countries in Latin America, and Brazil is no exception, across all sectors or disciplines, our statistics in Latin America are lower than average and lower than most of the other regions. Of course, lower than Europe, much lower than Asia as well. And even if you compare countries with similar GDP or income and development level, there is definitely a lack of support from public policies in terms of encouraging students or providing them the necessary grants and support to do that. And some of them were already qualifying student mobility of being exclusive for the elite, no? So of course, the current crisis will obviously not change that, but it does create even more pressure to say, well, who will be able to jump in this experience. So, and if you look at what have been the traditional challenges between study abroad initiatives and internalization at home, it is interesting because we might see that. I mean, many specialists, Hans de Witt, Jane here in Canada, Betsy Leask in Australia, many authors have been pledging for a redefinition of internationalization strategies, and maybe saying that it's time to do less in terms of sending people abroad, but doing more at what you can do with internalization at home. So basically our question and what we ask ourselves nowadays when we look at the crisis is this the opportunity we were waiting for to actually start changing things? And is the crisis an open door maybe to knock at the government or knock at policymakers to see what we can do with internationalization and mobility programs? So basically, of course, there's a strong invitation to all to actually start a review of why are we doing this? Why is it so important to send students away or to get students or faculty members on campus to diversify experiences and so on? What are the objectives? What is the scope of our activities? What strategies are we putting in place? Where's the funding going? What's the real impact? Many have been quite critical about thinking about internationalization and mobility only with a quantitative approach, maybe to respond to the ranking algorithm that actually gives points or bonifies when you have a high level of students from outside, or if you have faculty members from outside, or in the other way if you send people abroad, but looking at a more qualitative approach. What can you do in terms of internationalization of your curriculum? What can you do in terms of reintegrating the international students that go away and come back to campus? Are you okay? You're done, check, or you actually engage them to discuss with other students that did not have this opportunity to go away, and see how you can enhance that kind of global awareness on campus about what's going on elsewhere, developing some intercultural competencies, and having different kind of workshops or activities that are encouraging and favoring some kind of a new approach to that. So basically, I strongly believe that, I mean, yes, very short term, and I mean, I'm obviously not at work today and talking to you from my basement, but as we will slowly return to our offices and duties, I think we need to look for alternatives that are satisfactory in the way that they provide opportunities for mobility, but that are in line with the local conditions of our people and the institutional capacity to support that. So we do hope it will be a trigger, and that it will actually provide this new window to do new things. So just to conclude, I'd like to show and share basically what we have been doing at IOHE in terms of what has been our response to the current situation. So we've been, we're very proud to launch the what we call el Espaço de Mobilidade Virtual no Ensino Superior, eMOVIES, which in English turns out to be the virtual mobility space in higher education. And as the name says, I mean, the idea is to encourage virtual mobility, international virtual mobility. So we've been piloting eMOVIES in Colombia over the last 2 or 3 years. And originally the question or the challenge we were facing, and I do recognize the leadership of those Colombian institutions that engaged discussion with ourselves, saying, look, David, we want to find a solution more in terms of responding to equity and access. I mentioned earlier that internationalization and international student mobility was quite elitist, and it was only accessible for a certain part of your student population, of course, with maybe some socioeconomic, a more favorable panorama or support from their family, access to grants, but that's what, 1%, 5%. So what type of opportunity can you provide to those students that will never make it to the long run, to jumping in a plane, go study from Brazil to the UK or Australia, or move from Europe to Canada, or wherever your intentions were. So, and providing that opportunity to study abroad without going abroad. So having that possibility to study online in a different institution than yours. So we've piloted that only at the national level in Colombia, with a group up to 15 institutions at the end. They basically put a pool of roughly 300 courses, online courses together, and they promoted that across their student population. Turns out that after a year, 35 students had taken courses in other colleges or universities. So we looked at that, and for a while now, the Colombians were working together, and we're kind of asking for OE, as we have a very broad membership all across the continent, to see, can we extend that and not only do that at the national level, but provide that international online mobility opportunity. So now we believe that there's no better timing, unfortunately, of course, not that we had wished for this crisis, but knowing that we won't jump into airplanes in the very near future, knowing that all your institutions are still concerned about sending students abroad and ensuring that all these partnerships and these great experiences don't end just like that. We believe that eMOVIES can help. So how does it work, and what is eMOVIES, and how does it work? So basically, of course, this is an alternative to the traditional mobility models, the face-to-face and basically changing from one country to the other. What we do is that through the platform that we're developing, each member institution can freely put a number of courses in a pool of courses. So I'm University A, you're B, C, and D. We say, okay, I'll put in 5 courses, you'll put 10, you'll put 12, someone can put 15 if they want, whatever. And we will pool that in a repertoire or in a database, and then students or their ILOs, their international liaison officers in the institutions, will be able to access that pool and provide opportunities to students to take those online courses in different institutions and in different countries. So we're working in such a way that with a certain protocol and I mean, I don't want to get into the technical and legal matters, but we are easing the way, or facilitating the way to actually receive credits for the courses on a flexible approach, where each participant institution can decide, well, if they put 5 spots in the pool, or if they put 10, or if they put 20, it will also impact the number of students that they will receive. But at the end of the day, each institution remains responsible to recognizing X number of credits to their own students who have been taking courses elsewhere. So it means that if 40 hours of online course in Brazil means 3 credits in Brazil, but in Colombia it means 5, and in Mexico it means 2, well, the Mexican students will get 2, the Colombian will get 3, and the Brazilian will get 5 independently, because those credits are being only recognized in its own system. So we're kind of putting together a way we as owner of the platform and initiative, basically act as broker between institutions, creating that pool and facilitating the exchange of information. But then it's up to each institution to recognize those mechanisms on a bilateral or multilateral way across institutions. So in summary, we offer that to all our members across the 28 countries that we have. We are currently in discussion with different partners to extend that, so it might change in the near future, but I invite you to have a look. If you look for more information, there's a specific protocol where and documents that will outline the different conditions for joining the initiative, the requisites for participation, the different responsibilities that you need to fulfill to jump in the project. There's a specific calendar, so we're basically looking at work that through the summer in order to start in the fall semester around September. All that at the end of the day to ensure that we have some kind of an virtual international student mobility program. So that's the idea. We hope that it calls for many institutions to jump in and participate. If you want to learn more, you can write to us. We have a specific email, movies@oe-iohe.org, or on our website. If you look at our website, It's easy to find. Just Google OE and you'll find it. In our programs here, you'll have a specific icon for eMOVIES or eMOVIES, and you'll have all the details and how to join. So voila, in a glimpse, what I wanted to share with you guys. Again, I hope that it's only à la prochaine, and I will be able to be in FAO by 2021 with all of you. Thanks for the invitation. Thanks for your time. Our email is there. If you want to reach out, don't hesitate. Boa tarde, muitos abraços e até logo.